name is Deet. My name's actually Apollo. I've been doing this deep makeup. It's a little bit green and both my ears won't stay where they're supposed to. So that's great. And I think I made them a bit big and I look like Shrek. I hope you guys enjoy this video. It will be a voiceover because it makes it easier for me to work. And I shall see you on the flip side. Bye.
So to start, I've already put my contacts in and I've blocked out my eyebrows. I will link a good video on how to do that above. It's not by me, it's by someone who does really good blocked brows and I learned from watching that video. I'm then taking my knockoff Flash palette and putting green paint around my face as a first base layer. This paint I know is not going to break me out or I'm not going to have an allergic reaction to it because I did a test patch when I first bought it and I know that I'm not going to have an issue. But if you're buying makeup from unknown sellers, I really would suggest maybe not like putting it on your face instantly, but instead check it out, put a little patch on your arm and see what happens. Better to be safe than sorry. I'm now going in with some basic face paint. Either this is Snazaro or Special FX. I shall link in the description below, you shall find it. But I don't know what it is off the top of my head right now, please forgive me. And this is just going over the first layer of paint. It's a different green, I am well aware of that. But it has higher coverage and putting that first base colour down will give this even more courage. I can't talk today. I need more tea. Yes, let's paint myself green. Let's see what happens. Now taking the white from the same knockoff Flash palette, I'm going to highlight the points of my face that will obviously catch the light more. So the forehead, under the eyes, a bit of the nose, and of course the middle of the chin. I will then blend this out with the same stippling brush that I was using before, link below as always. And then I will try it with a makeup sponge. The issue with makeup sponges is that the water can remove the paint, so you need to apply more paint on the sponge before you then go in onto your face to blend it out. You'll see what I mean, but it's all trial and error. I believe in you, you can do this. I'm using a darker shade of green face paint, link below, to then contour my face. I would be putting this contour where my bronzer would usually go, and because Deet is a Gelfling, their face proportions are very different to mine. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at a reference photo that I found on Google, and I'm trying to recreate her face shape. Where the shadows are, I'm putting shadows. Obviously, I'm not a Gelfling, but I'm just trying my goddamn hardest. Using some of that white on my sponge, I'm now going to try and highlight the extreme high points of the face. That is the nose, the forehead V shape that she seems to have, brow bones, eyelids, the whole shebang. Now taking a fluffy big brush, I am placing setting powder onto my eyelids. It really doesn't matter what setting powder you use. You want one that doesn't have a tan tint to it, so it has to be translucent. The brand I'm using at this point, I have no clue, because I have taken all my setting powders that there's a little bit remaining of them, and I put it in one big jar, this vintage setting powder case, and I've mixed them all together, so who knows what I'm putting on my face at this point, but it's great for face paint. I'm now going to be using two greens from the James Charles Morphie Pallett. I've talked about this palette before. I'm kind of upset that I bought this palette. This was before the whole debacle went down and he made some transphobic comments. And obviously the big kerfuffle with Tati and all of that. I no longer support this young man who seems to be determined to ruin his career. But I have got the palette and I refuse to waste product at all. But I promise you, you can find these greens in other palettes. The NYX Brights palette is great. There's more palettes coming out every day with these sorts of colours in them and are from much better brands. But for the sake of being thorough and not wasting lots of plastic and metal, I'm using these two shades. The shade I'm using right now is Social Blade and Daddy. Why did he have to name that shade Daddy? It's not good. Anyway, I am starting to create definition in my face. Gelflings have very pronounced eye sockets, I think that's what you would call them. And I'm making mine bigger by doing it on top of my covered eyebrows, as well as defining the top of the nose and the sides of my mouth. Now going in with the shade Mary from the same palette, I am making that shadow even more pronounced. Gelflings, or at least Deet, have a brown element to their skin around the top points of their place where the eyebrows will be. She doesn't have eyebrows, but it's where the nose meets the forehead bones and the eye socket bones. And I'm going to take that brown red and go all across where I've tried to create a shade or a shadow and blend it out as much as possible. Back into the shade Daddy to define the nose and define the under eyes. There's a lot of shading going on in her face. I really highly recommend that if you're going to do this character, you find at least 3 reference images from with different lighting to see the contours of her face and try and replicate that with shadow. Using the shade Flashback, which is a white, I'm going to then try and make my nose look fatter. Her nose is not a human nose and it is broader at the tip. So I'm just trying to make my nose look a little bit bigger on my face by using the white. And I'm going to pull that all the way up into my forehead. Using a smaller Morphe 507 brush, I am now going back into the shade Daddy to contour my nose a little bit further away from the centre than I usually would contour it, and I'm going to define the nostrils. And then I'm going to go back into the shade Mary, which is the red brown, and I'm going to create what is almost a deer nose, but on my nose. It's just this little red tip that Deet has on her nose. It's very cute and very easy to replicate. And because I thought that red brown had become a little bit diffused, I went back in to the places I'd already shaded to make it a bit more vibrant and pop. I also decided that this was the point to basically blow out my under eyes with the same colour. Her little waterline in the reference image is actually quite red, so I wanted a diffused moment underneath my eyes to make it look like her eyes were red underneath the contacts. I also went in with my lips because I know that her lips are quite red and glossy. There's obviously some like gloss on top of her lips, but obviously I wanted it to be a bit more diffused and blending in with her skin tone a little bit more, so I had a go. We'll see if it worked. Going back in with the shade Daddy, I'm going to take that small little Morphe brush, and this is ASMR, and I'm going to start defining, defining the eyes and the lips and the nose. I just want the shadows to be really, really dark, so dark like a black hole. Using that fluffy brush that I used for my translucent powder, I'm going to then go into the shade Mary and Daddy, and I'm going to use this like bronzer. It's basically going to create the bronzed brown high points of the face that are on Deet as well as near the temples. This shade though does require a lot of blending, so we might be here a little while. Later on, I'm then going to try and define my collarbones and my tendons in my neck, because if you just make the face really defined and just leave your neck one colour, it will look really very odd. So please don't do that. I'm now using a smaller fluffy brush, still bigger than the ones I've used before, to create a bit more definition with the same Mary shade. This is just a good brush for blending and just slight alterations, I think you'll find. Using that Morphe little blending brush and the shade Daddy, I'm then going to create the outer corner shape definition. Because it's darker, I'm then bringing it up and around my brow bone. This creates a circular shape of an eye socket that isn't actually that circular, and also just gives the eye a little bit more definition on the outer corner. You shall see. I didn't realise this is not in focus, but I'm using a ColourPop Gel Eyeliner, shade listed below, to create the red bloodshot inner waterline that she seems to have. It's not this red in the reference photos, but alas, this was the only red I could find that would work. So here we are. I'm going to take a pencil blush and blend this out. Also adding in a little bit more Daddy on the same pencil brush to the waterline just underneath it will give it a tiny bit more definition and make it look a bit more blended into the skin tone. For mascara, I'm using the ColourPop mascara in black, and there's no real eyeliner definition on Deet's eyes, but she has got lashes, specifically quite big lashes on the upper lid, but because I'm me, and I feel like not doing my lower lashes would have looked odd, I decided I was going to do my lower lashes as well. Sue me. The lipstick I'm using for her lips is the ColourPop shade called Love Life. It is a quite kind of red tone, but I'm going to put eyeshadow on top of it. I'm going to put some nice lip gloss on top of it and make it look a bit deeper and a bit more shinier. I always do like to remove a bit of product with a tissue. It makes the lips look a bit more natural if you're doing a look like this, but also just gets rid of excess product. Blending in some green into the red lipstick will actually make it look like the skin colour is showing through the red. because at this point I thought that the look just looked too plain. As humans, we have freckles, acne scars, light discoloration, colour discoloration on our faces, and it'd be weird that no one else would have that. So using a stippling sponge, I am just choosing random colours from the medium green, the dark green and the white, and stippling it onto my face. I can blend this away quickly or cover it up. It's just to create a bit of texture and make the face look a bit more human. One more coat of mascara because I'm extra. Now I'm just applying the wig that I made yesterday. The ears, I will have a small little read tutorial coming out on my Patreon. So if you want to know how to make really quick elf ears or Gelfling ears, head on over. The wig itself, I don't have a tutorial on, but alas, here we are. And I think we're done. Judging by the cute little faces I'm making.
And that's it, folks. I hope that you've enjoyed this video and maybe you've learnt something or just enjoyed watching me put paint on myself. I'm going to take a very big shower now and I'm going to go head off and edit this video because I want to get it out quite quickly. As always, have a lovely week and I shall see you soon. Bye.